Hello, brothers and sisters. And welcome to another Temple 420 Bible study. This is Bible study number 42. Me and Victoria Rose are here to go through the Bible and discuss it. Go through it. I'll start here with a prayer for everybody who joined us. Dear Almighty Yahweh, thank you for the blessings you give us. Thank you for bringing us together to read through your word and learn the lessons of your word. Help those who need healing and strength through the things that they're going through. Help them focus on you and the things that you want them to know and the things that you guide for us. Help us bring wisdom that people should hear and help it ring right in their soul. Help them acknowledge you. Amen.
Amen.
Did you bring your Bible today?
Yeah, it's over there by my chair, but I don't really want to get up and get it. So, I don't know. Can I pull up my? I'm not sure if I can pull up my Bible online.
I'm not exactly sure.
It's okay, you can read it.
Cool. I'm trying to get a cat to stop attacking me. What do you need, Loves, kitty cat? Whenever I come here, and especially using the computer, she wants to crawl up on me. So I do not have that on stage yet. You're coming, kitty cat. You wanted to see. So hi, everybody. Yeah. People love kitty cats. You just don't like being in the lap. You're like, pay attention to me. Then I bring her in my lap, and she doesn't get too excited about being on my lap. But I just wanted you to pet me in your lap. You don't want to sit down? You want to go? Okay.
My kitty lay right next to me too.
And then we go here to Matthew 26. See where I fit my Bible. Everybody else can see it. Looks like. I, of course, don't have it here. There we go. A plot to kill Jesus. It came about when Yeshua had finished all these words. He had said to his disciples, "You know, after 2 days the Passover is coming, and the Son of Man will be delivered up and crucified." Then the chief priests and the elders of the people gathered together in the place of the high priest, who was named Bias. Can't ever say his name right. They plotted together to arrest Yeshua stealthily and kill him, for they were saying, "Not during the feast, so that the riot does not arise among the people." Now Yeshua was in Bethany in the house of Simon the leper. As he was reclining at the table, a woman came to him having an alabaster jar of very expensive ointment. She poured it out upon his head. But when the disciples saw it, they became angry and said, "What is the reason for this waste? This could have been sold for a large amount of money and given to the poor." But Yeshua, knowing this, said to them, "Why are you troubling this woman? For she has done a beautiful thing for me. You always have the poor with you, but you will not always have me. For when she poured this ointment on my body, she did it for my burial. Truly, I say to you, wherever there is this hopeful message, otherwise the gospel, is preached through the entire world, what this woman has done will be spoken in memory of her." Judas betrays Jesus. Then one of the 12, who was named Judas Iscariot, went into the chief priests and said, "What are you willing to give me to deliver him to you?" They weighed out 30 pieces of silver for him, and from that moment he sought out opportunity to deliver them to him. The Passover with the disciples. Now on the first day of unleavened bread, the disciples came to Yeshua and said, "Where do you want us to prepare for you to eat the Passover meal?" He said, "Go into the city to a certain man and say to him, 'The teacher says, my time is at hand. I will keep the Passover at your house with my disciples. The disciples did as Yeshua directed them, and they prepared the Passover meal. When evening came, he sat down with the 12 disciples. As they were eating, he said, "Truly, I say to you that one of you will betray me." They were very sorrowful, and each one began to ask him, "Surely not I, Master." He answered, "The one who dips his hand with me in the dish is the one who will betray me. The Son of Man will go, just as it is written about him. But woe to the man by whom the Son of Man is betrayed. It'd be better for that man to have not been born." Judas, who would betray him, said, "Is that I, Rabbi?" He said to him, "You have said it yourself." It's an interesting one, too, because I one time went to a service, too, that was about the saying that Judas had his purpose with the stuff.
Uh-huh.
How to take that.
Yeah.
Essentially said that he had his own purpose with that. And it was actually like a performance that went through and the story and talked about Judas had his own purpose. But we
Yeah.
have Jesus here, though, also saying that it would have been better if he wasn't born. So, I don't know. How
Yeah.
exactly does that go?
I have no idea. Some things aren't meant for us to understand, maybe. I don't know.
Right? That'll take some.
That's one thing that, I think is interesting because I mean, you could really use that really in any, I mean not any, but a lot of situations, where you know that God has a story and he's written the story before the beginning of the world, and but then we still have free will, so it's definitely interesting.
And we had that kind of discussion a bit too in Parsha yesterday too about how exactly does it work with the good and evil things with that, because they say that with the Garden of Eden too, that we, if he wouldn't have done that, we wouldn't have been able to fall away, and that was a problem. But
Yeah.
somehow he puts together the good and evil, and it matches each other out, or somehow all comes together for his purpose.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to figure out the full details in the end.
For sure.
And say that makes sense, but sometimes it's hard to be like, hey, those things do like that. But
Yeah.
also the thing they brought up too, which I need to look more into, they said that Jews don't really have the separation of like what Satan is to the Christians. Like Satan is works with God's ways and the way that things happen.
Yeah.
That makes it really complicated even more.
Yeah. I mean, I think about like Job,
Yeah.
how that was like there's a full book about that, about how, Job was like, his Job was like a really good man and he had a good heart and he really loved the Lord, and he ended up losing everything and going through lots of warfare, and God never actually told him or explained, why or anything like that. And kind of think about my own life, and the things that I go through and my chronic illness and stuff like that. I do wonder um why, but some things like God's ways are higher than ours, and
Yeah, I sometimes wonder if that God knows the way that all comes together, so he knows that hey, if Satan's allowed to do these things, this person is strong enough that that's just going to make them stronger and have more. I think when I go through pains and stuff like that, some of that's for purpose. So I know what it's like to lose a family member or to have a disabled person that I have to take care of in my life, or
Mhm.
severe pain that's disabling and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
that I actually have those empathy towards those people that have like things like that.
Yeah, it totally makes sense. I think that kind of can go with multiple different things, like somebody might have chronic illness and then somebody might be an addict, you know or someone might be homeless, or someone, it's and those people, I think we talked about this last time, I'm not sure, but their stories, their trials become their testimonies, and their testimonies become their ministry. And people, I think actually I read a couple times, it popped up today on my Facebook about how um dang, I forgot. Sorry. But yeah, I think you get where I'm coming from.
Yeah. Yeah, the other odd thing that made me think weird with Job too is that like Satan goes up there and talks to God. Like right
Right.
away, you would think that he would be totally hanging out in hell, like all the things show, and that he wouldn't be able to go to heaven. So
Yeah, I mean,
he's
I
thrown
mean,
out. He's not supposed to be up there. Like, how's he up there talking to God?
well, who's to say he's actually up there? Does it say that he was up there, or does it say that he just conversated with him?
True, I'm not exactly sure. I thought he came specifically to God and asked, but
I think about how like people say like, you know, Satan knows the word like the back of his hand.
right.
So he above most people probably know how to, you know, conversate with him.
Yeah, well, he's been looking at this stuff since it's been written. He saw them write it and saw them write it again and saw influenced people that tried to spread it and do all kinds of other stuff with that. So
Yeah.
he definitely would know it really well.
Yeah.
And the
Pretty cool
institution,
how God's word still uh what is it? Persevered.
yeah.
um even though Satan did know him very, very well, and he still wasn't able to, even though he plays a vital role in the story. God still, you know, God like wins the victory. you
And I
know.
wish I knew. I wish I could quote anything. I can't ever quote anything, but there was a really good. I think it's a French quote that I liked too. That really said that the supernatural thing of the Bible too
Mhm.
shows because it's been trying to be torn up by popes and kings and all these people of high power and trying to change it, and it's stayed so solid. Totally a supernatural book.
Oh yeah, it really is. I call it the never-ending story.
Popes came and destroy it, so that shows you how resolute it is. Resolute. Then going on here, there's institution of the Lord's Supper, Matthew 26:26. And they were eating, and Yeshua took the bread and blessed it and broke it, and he gave it to the disciples and said, "Take, eat, this is my body." And he took a cup and gave thanks. And he gave it to them and said, "Drink, all of you, for this is my blood of the covenant is poured out for many for the forgiveness of sins. But I say to you, I will not drink again of this fruit into the vine until the day when I drink it with you new in the Father's kingdom."
Mhm.
I think this also relates to the importance of the Passover. I think that's a direct imagery of what God's done for us, and that's what Christ was really showing too with it. One of the reasons I think it's good to at least acknowledge and know about the holidays and understand the holidays that God put in there,
Yeah.
because this one relates right to the Passover and to that sacrifice that happens here. And to my understanding, stops the sacrifice at the temple. So Christ ended up being sacrificed and it went dark and nobody was able to have a sacrifice. So,
Wow, I didn't think about that.
yeah, that's my understanding with that was part of the reason that it went dark and they had that eclipse or whatever after Christ was,
Like 3 hours of darkness or something.
yeah, yeah, because it would have been the day that they would have sacrificed the lamb, and then it goes dark and the lamb's already sacrificed. So
Yeah.
they,
Actually, sorry, go ahead.
so I just say they didn't even realize that that lamb had already been sacrificed. They
Yeah.
got it there. So
I also think about I mean, I've heard some people say that the Passover is going to be like connected also to when he returns. Some
Yeah,
people are saying like, what is it? Not the Passover, but there's another one.
yeah, I believe the Feast of
Yeah.
Tabernacle.
Yep.
That's where I take that actually I'll drink it new with you in the Father's kingdom.
Yeah.
That's when he comes back, and it happens to relate with the Feast of Tabernacles. I think there's those two that are really close, and I
Hmm.
think they could be really either one. They're the two fall feasts with that,
Yeah. Do
or the
you know?
Tabernacles may even line up to be when he comes back and gets us and takes us off with that, because it was representation of God saving the Israelites back then. That's why they're supposed to keep continuing practicing that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Do you know? I feel like I used to know, but my brain's not working right now. But um, do you know? Because I mean, the Passover has been going on for longer than Jesus was on the earth, and I can't remember what it was for. Was it something God did to save the Israelites? I don't know. Do you know what that's about?
Yeah, let's say I have to think and recall myself. The bread was the unleavened bread to go back to them being taken out of Israel, and they weren't able to leaven and rise the bread, so they had to take unleavened bread and go with them, and they had that kind of bread,
You know what? I think you're right.
and it was supposed to relate and remind them that they were saved, but the bread they had to take was unleavened, and that they didn't have time to let it puff up and become nice fluffy bread.
Yeah.
And then it really kind of foretells and goes in with the Christian part of it, because that leaven will make it puff up and relates to the sin. So he had to get them out of that sin, and they didn't have any time for that. They had to leave the other things behind.
Wow.
So
Yeah,
it's
I think
amazing.
about how God is preparing. There's going to be a banquet, and maybe that's kind of what the Feast of Tabernacle is too. Is because oh yeah, he does say that he will not. I don't know. He says he will not drink of the cup or eat of the bread until you know we're with him at the banquet. I think he also says he says something else that he's preparing a way for us. Does he? Isn't that right next? I don't know. Not sure.
Yeah. I'd say this one's the Matthew version of it, so that might be next to another one on here with us, because he just did go over that. He won't drink the fruit of the vine again until that day he drinks it new with you in the
Yeah.
Father's kingdom. Jesus foretells of Peter's denial. When they had sung a hymn, they went out to the Mount of Olives. Then Yeshua said to them, "All of you will fall away tonight because of me. For it is written, I will strike the shepherd, and the sheep of the flock will be scattered. But after I'm raised up, I will go ahead of you into Galilee." But Peter said to him, "Even if all fall away because of you, I will never fall away."
Mm.
Yeshua said to him, "Truly, I say to you, this very night, before the rooster crows, you will deny me 3 times." Peter said to him, "Even if I must die, I will not deny you." All the other disciples said the same thing.
Dang. It's
Jesus,
interesting too because I don't know if you know, but Peter actually, I know after he, of course, he denied Jesus 3 times, but he ends up being like super powerful after Jesus does, rise. He becomes super powerful in like the ministry and stuff like that. And then he also, I don't know. I mean, he also decided to get crucified, at the end of his death. So he was very like he must have been very sorrowful for that. You know what I mean?
right? Yeah, where they hung him upside down because he
Yeah.
didn't die. It's Christ did.
Hmm.
Yeah, and they relate the Pope came from Peter. They say since he was so strong and stuff with that. I don't know. I buy that one, but maybe. I think it helps in both ways with the Catholic Church that there's some crazy things going on there, but also directs people to God too. So
Hmm.
I think it's a crazy mess with a lot of these days.
I kind of feel like that, like, I would say almost, if not all religions have a little bit of truth to them. You know, I don't know what you feel about that, but
Well, then there's so many denominations in Christianity. Like which one? It's the right one. Is always
right.
stay with that too. But I think if you seek him out, like he will reveal himself, following him that way. That's
Yeah,
key with that.
for
Seek him
sure.
out, and he'll reveal himself, and he will guide you through.
That's right. I know that it says that if you pray and ask for wisdom, he will give it freely. Like he will give it like no holding back. So I think sometimes maybe that's what the issue is people want someone else to tell them the truth instead of going to seek it for themselves. I mean, it's always good to have a mentor of some type, but you really should, be doing your own work too on the side.
Right? Yeah. Jesus prays in Gethsemane. Then Yeshua went with them to the place called Gethsemane, and he said to his disciples, "Sit here while I go there and pray." He took Peter and the two sons of Zebedee with him, and it began to become sorrowful and troubled, and began to become sorrowful and troubled. Then he said to them, "My soul is deeply sorrowful, even to death. Remain here and watch with me." When he went a little further, he fell on his face and prayed. He said, "My Father, if it is possible, let this cup pass from me. Yet not as I will, but do as you will.
Mhm.
Watch and pray that I do not enter into temptation. For the ruach is indeed willing, but the flesh is weak." He went away a second time and prayed. He said, "My Father, if this cannot pass away until I drink it, your will be done." He came again and found them sleeping, for his eyes were heavy. So, leaving them again, he went away and prayed a third time, saying the same words. Then Yeshua came to the disciples and said to them, "Are you still sleeping and taking your rest? Look at the hour that is at hand, and the Son of Man is being betrayed into the hands of sinners. Arise, let's go. Look, the one who is betraying me is near."
Wow.
It's an interesting one too with that. That's also another one I think that denies or shows a full separation with Christ and God too, and then a way that's a really good example that he's denying his flesh, and he says that the Ruach, so the Holy Spirit, is willing and wanting to do that, but his fleshly human portion is weak and really scared.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that kind of also shows that how important it is to have the body of Christ to kind of intercede, uh, when you are feeling at your lowest, and so um, yeah, I think it's interesting.
Betrayal and arrest of Jesus. While he was speaking, Judas, one of the 12, came, and a large crowd came with him from the chief priests and elders of the people. They came with swords and clubs. Now the man who was going to betray Yeshua had given him a signal, saying, "Whomever I kiss, he's the one. Seize him." Immediately he came up to Yeshua and said, "Greetings, Rabbi," and he kissed him. Yeshua said to him, "Friend, do you know what you have come to do?" And then he laid hands on Yeshua and seized him. Behold, one of those who was with Yeshua stretched out his hand and drew his sword and struck the servant of the high priest and cut off his ear. "Do you think that I could not call upon my Father, and he would send more than 12 legions of angels.
Mm-hmm.
But how I jumped down a lane. Then Yeshua said to him, talking to the one who struck him, I think somebody said that they thought that was Peter
Yeah,
too.
or Paul or something. I'm not sure. Not Paul, but yeah, I think you're right. I think it is Peter.
Put your sword back in its place, for all those who take up the sword will perish by the sword. Do you think that I could not call I could that I could not call upon my Father, and that he would send me more than 12 legions of angels? But how would the scriptures be fulfilled that this would happen? At that time, Yeshua said to the crowd, have you come out with the swords and clubs and seized me like a robber? I sat daily in the temple teaching, and you did not arrest me.
Mm-hmm.
But all of this happened so that the writings of the prophets might be fulfilled. Then the disciples left him and fled.
Hmm.
Jesus before Caiaphas in the council. That's how it's said. I sometimes say that, right? Those who had seized Yeshua led him away to Caiaphas, the high priest, where the scribes and elders had gathered together. But Peter followed him a distance to the courtyard of that of the high priest. He went inside and sat down with the guards to see the outcome. Now the chief priests and the whole council were looking for false testimony against Yeshua so that they could put him to death. And they did not find any, even though many false witnesses came forward. But later, two came forward and said, This is the man. This man said, I am able to destroy the temple of Elohim and rebuild it in 3 days. The priest stood up to and said to him, Do you have no answer? What is that they're testifying against you? But Yeshua was silent. The high priest said to him, I command you by the living Elohim, tell us whether you are the Messiah, the son of Elohim. Yeshua replied to him, You've said it yourself, but I tell you, from now on you'll see the Son of Man sitting at the right side of power and coming on the clouds of heaven. Then the high priest tore his clothes and said, He has spoken blasphemy. Why do we still need a witness? Look, now you have heard the blasphemy. What do you think? They answered, He is worthy of death. They spit in his face and beat him and struck him with the palms of their hands and said, Prophesy to us, you Messiah. Who is that struck you? I've heard some
Mhm.
interesting things that say supposedly Caiaphas turned around and was upset that that ended up happening. I don't know if that ended up being true or
The king?
not. The high priest.
Oh, is that who that was?
Yeah, I did actually though hear the king did too. Not
No.
about the king, but the guy who gave him over to be killed, Pilate.
Oh, you said you think Pilate was sorrowful?
I heard that Pilate got saved too.
Oh.
That his wife believed in the idea and didn't want him giving up Jesus, and it ended up being later he regretted it, and so did Caiaphas. But
Yeah,
that could
um I think he was scared that they were going to turn and attack him.
be right. Yeah, something definitely was going there because I don't know.
I think they said that in another gospel.
It's totally surprising that it was like, yeah, I'm not going to listen to my wife at all on that. I don't know. I guess when you're in that kind of power and if things would change on you like that, be like, this is going to get bad if I don't.
Right.
Take a whole bunch of bravery to get to that.
And his heart kind of, I mean, it had to happen. It had to be somewhat hardened in order to do what he was supposed to do. I don't, it's kind of weird because, I mean, there must have been some kind of heart posture issue because if Pilate was eventually saved, even though he, you know, did pretty much the same thing that Judas did.
Yeah.
So why did Judas go to hell and the other one went to heaven?
Caiaphas, too, if that's true with Caiaphas. Because he's
Yeah.
the high priest here that tore his clothes and would have been upset.
Wow.
I think there was actually that, I think it was that Jewish archaeologist guy that goes over there, studies a whole bunch of stuff, found too, that said it was Caiaphas.
Okay.
Some things that supported Jesus with it. And Peter denies Jesus, Matthew 26:69. Now Peter was sitting outside the courtyard, and the servant girl came to him and said, "You were also with Yeshua the Galilee." But he denied it in front of them all, saying, "I do not know who you're talking about." And then he went out of the gateway, and another servant girl saw him and said, "Those there, this man was also with the Yeshua of Nazareth." He again denied it with an oath and says, "I don't know the man." After a little while, those who were standing came and said to Peter, "Surely you're also one of them, for the way you speak gives you away." And then he began to curse and swear and say, "I don't know the man." And immediately a rooster crowed. Peter remembered the words of Yeshua, "Before the rooster crows, you'll deny me 3 times." And he went outside and wept bitterly.
Mm.
Yes.
It
Sure.
kind of seems like Peter was a bit impulsive and kind of had an anger issue. You remember how um, Peter tried to rebuke Jesus when Jesus was going to say that he was going to be, sacrificed and stuff.
Yeah, and he was even when said that you guys are all going to betray me. He's like, "Oh, not me, not
He was kind of prideful. I don't know what that would be called.
kind of quick to be
Mhm.
like that."
It's almost like he heard what Jesus said and then he ran ahead of him. You know how a lot of us do.
Right.
God gives us something that we have to obey, and then or like something that like our mission or something, and then we run ahead of him and get lost.
Oh, sorry. I get
Yeah.
always so lost on these numbers because it's actually in the story. Got
What'd you
too
say?
much in my head going on because now he actually gets delivered to Pilate and he actually gets taken to Pilate after Cephas,
Right.
I guess. Cephas.
Mhm.
Jesus delivered to Pilate, Matthew 27:1. Now the morning came, and all the chief priests and elders of the people plotted against Yeshua to put him to death. They bound him and led him away and delivered him to Pilate, the governor. Judas hangs himself. Then Judas, who betrayed him, saw that Yeshua had been condemned. He repented and returned the 30 pieces of silver to the priests and elders and said, "I have sinned, betraying innocent blood." But they said, "What is that to us? See to that yourself." Then they threw down the pieces of silver in the temple and departed. And he went out and hung himself. The chief priests took the silver and said, "It is not lawful to put this in the treasury because it is of the price of blood." They discussed the matter together, and with the money they bought potter's field in order to bury strangers. For this reason, that field has been called the field of blood to this day.
Wow.
Then that which has been spoken by Jeremiah the prophet was fulfilled, saying, "They took the 30 pieces of silver and set the price on him by the people of Israel, and they gave it to the potter's field, as the master Yahuwah had directed me."
Oh,
And in there, it actually even says that Judas repented too. So,
I heard that too. It's like I wonder if he. I mean, I think the thing is that he repented and then he kind of let his own. I don't know. I'm not really sure because I'm not sure if he like let it just get to him and he kind of just felt so much remorse that he had to end his life. But I also saw. I don't know if you ever seen Passion of the Christ, but it looks like he was possessed. He had some kind of possession or something. I don't know. Yeah, the Bible says that.
An interesting take on it too.
Yeah.
Well, then I could see that definitely is something that kind of happens now with it though too. I've seen people injure somebody so grievously that they know they're going to die, kill themselves because they can't put up with it in their mind and they can't do it anymore. So I see, especially when it was Jesus.
Yeah, for real.
Like, there's nothing that can do anything for me now. Got to get in that
Oh,
mindset like that. That'd be really hard to get pulled out of.
I'm sure. Especially seeing how, I mean, I actually, oh no. Oh no, he didn't really see him get beat yet, so I guess there was just real turmoil.
Well, I bet they probably have a lot of turmoil in that time with the Romans because the Romans were always being cruel to people and
Yeah.
really hurting people and doing all kinds of crazy things. Because they end up crucifying almost everybody else too. So
Yeah. Yeah.
definitely something that they had in and that they were doing quite a bit of.
Yeah, so he probably witnessed or heard about it or just knew that what Jesus was going to endure.
Yeah, knew that they were going to take him down that streak and then throw him up on a cross like they do the rest of the criminals.
Yeah.
Especially when, like those other ones that were there, at least the one guy that was there was just a thief. So
Right.
shows how cruel that the Romans were. I don't know what he stole, but did he steal enough that they were like, "Yep, we can't do with this guy. Let's kill him.
For real.
Like we're gonna crucify him so he's no longer around."
Yeah. I know that they actually I did some studies on the crucifixion. I heard that they did like trial and error and they made the crucifixion so that way it was absolutely the worst punishment you could get.
Yeah, yeah, they totally aimed for that,
Yeah.
and that's where it gets weird and stuff too. They've adopted the cross as the thing, but they used all kinds of different ways experimenting with that too.
Yeah.
So they used poles and then used that cross one that looks like an X and several
Yeah.
other different ones to just see what was miserable and terrible.
Yeah.
There's some ones that really, really break down. Like there's some medical examiners that have books too that go through like the crucifixion itself.
Yeah.
And that the way they had it set up at that point sounds like it was the worst that you essentially end up killing yourself by not keeping your legs up
I know.
and
Terrible.
no longer strong enough to keep yourself alive.
I heard that um
Yeah, that's
if
terrible.
yeah, I mean it's pretty terrible. It's terrible and yeah, and I feel so bad for him to go through that.
Jesus before Pilate. Now Yeshua stood before the governor, and the governor asked, "Are you the king of the Jews?" Yeshua asked him, "You say so." But when he was accursed by the accused by the chief priests and elders, he answered nothing. But then Pilate said to him, "Do you not hear all the charges against you?" But he did not answer even one word. So the governor was greatly amazed. The crowd chooses Barabbas. Now, the feast, it was custom for the governor to release one prisoner chosen by the crowd. At that time, they had a notorious prisoner named Barabbas. So
Hmm.
when they were gathered together, Pilate said to them, "Who do you want me to release, Barabbas or Yeshua, who is called the Messiah?" He knew that they all handed Yeshua over to him because of envy. While he was sitting on the judgment seat, his wife sent word to him and said, "Have nothing to do with the innocent man, for I have suffered much today because of a dream that I have had about him." Now the chief priest and the elders persuaded the crowd and asked for Barabbas and to have Yeshua killed. The governor asked them, "Which of the two do you want me to release to you?" They said, "Barabbas." Pilate said to them, "What should I do with Yeshua, who is called the Messiah?" They all said, "Crucify him." Then he said, "Why? What crime has he have done?" But they cried out even louder, "Crucify him." So when Pilate saw that he could do nothing, but instead a riot was starting, he took the water and washed his hands in front of the crowd and said, I am innocent of the blood of this innocent man. See to it yourselves. And all the people said, may his blood be on us and our children. And then he released Barabbas, but the scourged Yeshua, but he scourged Yeshua and handed him over to be crucified.
I find it interesting. Did you just say that? I can't remember what you just said. I never heard that part where you said that it would affect them and their like their children and stuff. What was
Yeah,
that?
Matthew 27:25, all the people said, may his blood be on us and our children.
Oh my gosh. I wonder if that is still true today. You know what I mean? Like whoever the bloodline leads down to.
When I thought of it, I kind of wondered if that was kind of the relation with the stigma and the thing that they always blame it on the Jews, which Jews as a whole, that's not makes any sense, but that would be the children. To me, that would make sense.
Yeah.
All the children of Israel and the people of Israel that were saying, yeah, kill him and his blood will be on us, passed down just by genealogy.
Wow. So interesting.
And then the soldiers of the governor took Yeshua into the government headquarters and gathered the whole company of soldiers. They stripped him and put on a scarlet robe on him. They made a crown of thorns and put it on his head and placed a staff in his right hand. They knelt down before him and mocked him, saying, Hail, King of the Jews! Then they spat on him and took the staff and struck him on the head again and again.
Oh my God.
When they had mocked him, they took his robe off and put his own garments on him and led him away to crucify him. Yeah, I always wonder who thought this was a nice thing.
Yeah, they really don't. I mean, I don't know. I can't remember what comes next. Does he get crucified or does he get
Yeah,
whipped and stuff? Maybe the other books say something different.
I think the other ones go on and break down more that he was more than just hit and spoke on, but he was hit with the cat o' nine tails.
Yeah,
Even more.
I think they also use. I think people also use, like you said, um, medical examiner, whatever, um, just to see exactly what he probably went through.
Right. And as they've said with it too, each gospel kind of has a different little view of it. So it's
Yeah,
more like these are the things that Matthew remembered of it.
yeah, that's what he found most important.
Yeah. So,
Interesting.
which to me, it's crazy that somebody went and got a scarlet robe and then decided, hey, we're going to make a crown of thorns,
For real.
stick it on his head, and then beat him around. What are you guys doing?
I know they're really playing around with the Lord, and I wonder why it was a scarlet robe. Did it mean something? Was there a meaning to that?
I take it because they were making it like a royal robe and trying to show that he
That he was king
be
of
as
the
mockery that he was king of the Jews.
man.
A crucifixion. As they came out, they found a man from Cyrene named Simon, whom they forced to go with them so that he might carry his cross. They came to a place called Golgotha, which means the place of the skull. They gave him wine to drink mixed with gall, but when he tasted it, he would not drink. When they had crucified him, they divided up his garments by casting lots, and they sat and kept guard over him. Above his head, they put a charge against him, which said, This is Yeshua, the King of the Jews. The two robbers who were crucified with him, one on the right and one on the left, those who passed insulted him, shaking their heads and saying, You are not going to destroy the temple and rebuild it in 3 days. Save yourself. If you're the son of the Elohim, come down from the cross. Then, in the same way, the chief priests were mocking him, along with the scribes and the elders, and said, he saved others, but he can't save himself. He is the king of Israel. Let him come down off the cross, and then we'll believe in him. He trusts in Elohim. Let Elohim rescue him now. If Elohim consents to release him, for he even said, I am the son of Elohim. In the same way, the robbers who were crucified with him also spoke insults with him. Huh.
He stayed quiet the entire time. I find it interesting because I think they gave the wine in order to like try to maybe numb the pain a little bit,
Yeah,
and I don't know what they combined it with, but
I've heard quite a few different things combined with it.
vinegar.
You said it was with vinegar, and then several people said like henbane and cannabis and several other things would have been mixed with it. Not exactly the intent, but he definitely didn't want to drink it for whatever reason. If it was to keep out the pain and to make it last, he didn't feel like that was right or so with it.
He probably thought it was a joke. Like he probably thought it was like a freaking insult. Because what is a little bit of wine going to do when you're in your whole body is torn apart and you're hanging on a cross and it's just
All right. The death of Jesus from the sixth hour. Now from the sixth hour, darkness came over the whole land until the ninth hour. And about the ninth hour, Yeshua cried out with a loud voice and said, Eli, Eli, lama shamachi, which means, my Elohim, why have you forsaken me? Then some of those who were standing there heard it and said, he's calling for Elijah. Immediately one of them ran and took a sponge, filled it with sour wine, put it on a reed staff, and gave it to him to drink. And the rest of them said, leave him alone. Let us see whether Elijah comes to save him. Then Yeshua called out again with a loud voice and gave up his spirit. Behold, the curtain of the temple was split in two from the top to the bottom, and the earth shook and the rocks split apart. The tombs were opened, and the bodies of many set apart believers who had fallen asleep were raised. They came out of the tombs after his resurrection and entered the set apart holy city and appeared to many. Now it was the centurion who was watching Yeshua, saw the earthquake and the things that had happened. They became very afraid and said, truly, this was the son of Elohim.
Wow.
Many women who had followed Yeshua from Galilee to care for him were looking on from the distance. Among them was Mary Magdalene, Mary of the mother of James and Joseph, and the mother of the sons of Zebedee. I was going to say, they said the centurion converted after that too.
What did you say?
They said that centurion converted after that, after he saw that he died.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm pretty sure probably a lot of people was converted when they seen the people coming out of the tombs and they seen the earthquake and all that stuff.
And Jesus was buried. When it was evening, there became a rich man from Arimathea named Joseph, who was also a disciple of Yeshua. He approached Pilate and asked for the body of Yeshua, and Pilate ordered it to be given to him. Joseph took the body and wrapped it up with a linen cloth and laid it in his own tomb, and laid it in his own new tomb that he had cut into the rock. And he rolled the large stone against the door of the tomb and went away. Mary Magdalene and other Mary were sitting there opposite of the tomb. I didn't realize, I wondered who Joseph of Arimathea was. I didn't realize he was a disciple.
Yeah, that's interesting. Maybe he was like he wasn't the 12 disciples. He must have been another one. right?
Yeah, he's a rich guy too. So he was able to afford that. The guard at the tomb. The next day, which was the day after the preparation, the chief priests and the Pharisees were gathered together with Pilate. They said, "Sir, we remember that there when the deceiver was alive, he said, 'After 3 days I will rise again.' Therefore, a commandment that the tomb be made secure until the third day. Otherwise, his disciples may come and steal him and say to the people, 'He has risen from the dead,' and the last deception will be worse than the first." Pilate said to them, "Take a guard and make it as secure as you can." So they went and made the tomb secure, sealing the stone and placing the guard.
Are you still there?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Cool.
Yeah, that's interesting. I was gonna say something, but I forgot.
Good deal here with that. I think that's good to wrap it up. Do you have any thoughts or prayer requests or anything?
I don't know, not really.
No. Cool. I'll wrap it up here with a prayer for everybody here, too.
Okay.
Thank you, Almighty God, for us to come together and listen to the stories about your son, his sacrifice, so that people can realize and understand the sacrifice he made for us to give us eternal salvation. Thank you for giving us all the provisions that you give us and making it so that we can learn the stories and the things that you do for us. Help these people who are with us and listening to what we say here. May they be healed and be able to recognize where you're at and feel better in the way that they are. May they have comfort. And thank you for the blessings you give us.
Amen.
Amen. And we've always we have these every Wednesday. There's also Saturday sessions that people can come to and more of a discussion. We do those usually at 8 o'clock Central. This is in the morning. These are 7 o'clock on Wednesdays. We have a Facebook that you can follow. I'll put the link down below. There's also the Discord, the website. And if you follow the Facebook, I always post the link to these before they come up there. I also kick them into our Telegram and our other things. If somebody comes on Discord and wants to know more information, I'm going to work on getting those more related so they're easier to find. Thank you all, and God bless.